think it's 13 or 14 of the Wonderwolle podcast. My name is Andrea. I go by Healthy Kids, Happy Mama on much of the internet, but on Ravelry I am Wonderwolle. I just changed my name from Andy J to Wonderwolle just to try and start to keep things a bit more consistent. I do have an Instagram account under the Wonderwolle banner, but I tend to post more frequently on my Healthy Kids Happy Mama Instagram account. And I post show notes for this podcast in my Ravelry group, which is called Wonderwolle Podcast on the Ravelry groups tab. And I post the show notes for each episode in there. So if you would like to follow up anything that you have seen on this podcast, then please go there to have a little look. So I know that it's been a few weeks since I last podcast. I hope that you're all well. Are you well? I hope that you are. I have been incredibly busy in the last little while, and finding the time to sit down and film has been challenging. Not because it's difficult to sit down and film, but because it's the organisation around having all of the wool together in one place, having all of the projects together in one place, and putting makeup on, to be honest. You're probably saying, oh, you don't need to wear makeup, but I do. I do need to wear makeup, promise. So, yes, but I thought it's Monday afternoon here. It's the 29th. It's the 29th of February. Once in 4 years, and I get to film on the 29th of February. Today has been a crazy day. I think that the universe is a little bit unimpressed, actually, that there's an extra day. My children were absolutely nuts this morning. They're very tired. It's about middle of the term for the school term. And, oh, excuse me, they're not coping so well with the tiredness of a new school year. So it just makes everything harder than it needs to be, really. It's not very much fun. So today's episode is going to be about knitting, mostly. I haven't been doing much in the way of other things in the last little while. I'm actually going to change the structure of my podcasts a little bit just to make it easier for me to actually record and upload an episode semi-regularly. So what I'm going to do is split the themes of my podcast into what's on my needles, or come knit with me, and that's what this episode is. It's a come knit with me episode. So I'm going to show you what I've been knitting on, what I've got on my needles, what's been finished, and talk a little bit about what I have planned coming up. And then I'll do a different episode on like a haul video. So if you ever watch beauty bloggers, they often do haul videos on what they've bought this month. And I'm going to do that maybe once a fortnight. Because one of the reasons is because I feel a lot of pressure, actually, being in this podcasting world, to finish objects and to have new things to show you each episode. And so when I don't have anything finished or anything newly purchased to show, I find it very hard to sit down and podcast. And the other thing I've been thinking about is the fact that I quite enjoy watching shorter videos because not everybody's got an hour or two in some cases. Not my videos don't go that long, but some people's videos go that long. It's a very long time to sit down and watch one person talking just about what's been going on in their life. I would rather spend 2 hours watching 4 people and enjoying what they've been doing. So I thought I would change it up a little bit, see how it goes. I'd love your feedback if you have any thoughts about this new process. But and then I might also do intermittently some vlogs or video logs of my day-to-day life, because I would love to be able to share more of my day-to-day life with you. I always say that I'm really busy, but it's really hard to sort of visualize what busy looks like in somebody else's life. So I'll post those videos separately, and they probably won't be having any sort of a schedule, just when I get enough footage together and of things that are interesting. In my earlier videos, I did some sort of out and about kind of videos, and I'd like to do a bit more of that. But again, it makes the videos that we do have a lot longer. So anyway, let's get on with it. What's on my needles? Well, hats are on my needles. I'll start with talking about what's off my needles. So what have I finished this month? Now, again, hats. Just grabbing it here out of my basket. So, I finished my first sockhead hat a few weeks ago, and that's this one here. It's made out of Misty Alpaca sock in the Tilt a Whirl colorway, and this one is for me, and it's an alpaca silk merino nylon blend. And I'll put it on quickly. I'll mess my hair up in the process, but I'll put it on anyway. It's still got a stitch marker in it. I don't know why. So this one's for me. I think it's really nice. I think it's really cozy and comfy. And I may have bought another skein of Misty Alpaca sock in a different colorway to make another one, because it was so lovely to knit this hat. I just wanted to knit on this hat all the time. It was so lovely. And so I'm really happy, and I'm looking forward to the cooler weather now that it's going to be autumn here tomorrow, to be able to have a chance to wear it. So that's one. But actually, I just had a thought. In March, in the middle of March here in Canberra, we have a balloon festival, and you get up really early and go out to the lawns of Parliament House and watch all the balloons launching off into the sky. And I don't go up in the balloons. I don't have any desire to go up in a balloon. But it's always that first time when we go to the balloon festival. It's that first time where you get up in the morning and you think, oh, I could really do with some boots, and I could really do with a jacket and a hat. So I think that will be the maiden voyage of this hat here. And yeah, Misty Alpaca hand paint sock yarn, 50% alpaca, 30% merino wool, 10% silk and 10% nylon. And I'll just show you, this is the other skein that I bought. It's colour number NHS12. I can't actually remember what the name of that is, but it's got greys and like some olive green and maroons. And I think that this one will be more useful for me in my day-to-day and how I wear hats. So that will be next that's later. I'll talk about that later. And so then I promptly, literally the same day, cast on another sockhead hat. And this one is Fildar Folk 100. I'm not sure of the colorway actually. I'm not quite sure where the tag went. And to be honest, when I looked it up on Ravelry, I could not find a single other project using the colorway number that this colorway was. I'll put it in the show notes, but it's got it's like dark grays and burgundy. It's coming out kind of properly there, yeah. It's created quite a nice effect. And this one this Fildar Folk is relatively inexpensive sock yarn. It's your standard 75% wool, 25% polyamide or nylon. And this hat is actually for my son, my littlest son, who is 4. Now, it fits me. It fits me perfectly well, in fact. But I did make this one slightly differently. So this one here I cast on 144 and knit 4 inches on the ribbing. It's a 2x2 rib. And then I knit 9 inches on the hat. Now, that is shorter than the pattern suggests, but I'm not a massive fan, excuse me, I'm not a massive fan of crazy slouchy hats. So I thought I would just shorten it up a bit, and I really like it. It's got enough slouch that you can sort of tuck it up a little bit, but not so much that it sort of flops around out the back there, which slouchy hats tend to do. And this one here I cast on 136 stitches, and then I knit for 7 inches because he's little, so he didn't need a hat that was as big as an adult size hat. But yeah, worked just as fine, just worked equally nicely, fits him beautifully, and is actually slouchy on him. So that's the 2 hats, and that's actually all my finished objects for this this month, which is a little bit sad. It's not the truth, actually. That's not 100% true. I did finish a pair of socks, which are not here because the boys wore them and then I had to wash them, and so they're actually on the line. But I knit a second sock. Or it was actually a first sock because it was designed for my older son, H, and then it didn't fit. It was too tight. It baffled me. I think I must have thought I had it on 2.5 centimeter needles. 2.5 millimeter diameter needles, but I think that it was actually 2.25 needles because that sock's tiny. And I cast on 56 for that sock, and he's only 7. You would think that a 56 cast on sock would fit a 7-year-old, but So they went to the little one. They went to the little boy. So he's pretty chuffed. The big one's a bit put out that mummy hasn't knit him any socks yet, but I am making up for it. So that brings me to what's on my needles. What are my whips for February? So I've had a few things. I did talk about a few things last episode, which I've actually decided not to pursue. There are a couple of hats in heavier weight yarns, and I just really didn't enjoy knitting them. I was not enjoying it, and I thought, I don't have enough time in my life to knit all the things that I want to knit, so why would I be knitting something that I don't really want to knit? So I stopped, basically, which has been good because it means that I don't feel like I'm just knitting for the sake of knitting. I'm actually knitting on something that I really want to be knitting on, which is nice. So much nicer, in fact. So the first thing on my needles that I have to show you is another sockhead hat. Honestly, I love this pattern. It's so simple, but it creates such a nice fabric, and it's so mindless. I don't know, I like it more than knitting on a sock because you can knit a little bit more of the row before you actually have to pull it through with the magic loop. This one here is being knit in Modavira, not just socks, and it is I've got another skein of it somewhere here, which I was going to look at to tell you what the here it is. 50% superwash wool, 25% polyamide and 25% bamboo. So that's a different colorway. This one here is just a blues sort of colorway. This yarn is available in Australia from Spotlight, but you have to be kind of quick to get it. It tends to sell out really quickly. I just happened to go to Spotlight about twice in one fortnight, and the first time I went they didn't have any, and then the second time they went they had all new colorways, and this was one of them actually. I love this. This is going to be probably some socks, and I'm really looking forward to knitting this one up because I think it's so pretty. Look at those colors, it's so pretty. It's called Bright Multi Mix, but this one's just all the blues. And so I've knit just over 3 inches in the ribbing, and I'll probably get to the stockingette section tonight. And I've done this one the same way. I've cast on 136 stitches, and I'm going to knit 7 inches of stockingette before the decrease. So this one here is for my older son to make him happy. Again, the yarn's fairly inexpensive, and there's a method in my madness by doing it that way because little boys tend to lose things, and I don't really want to be giving them really expensive yarn hats to take to school and promptly lose. So although they didn't lose any hats and mittens last year, so, and they are unique, I have to say. So, you know, if another child rocks up at school with one of their hand knits on, I go, excuse me, that one is mine. But this wool is surprisingly soft, and I'm really enjoying knitting this up, actually. I do about 1 inch a day, so it would take me just over a week to knit up a sockhead hat, which is nice. It's a nice pace, and I feel like I can achieve that. And that's something that I've realised in the last few weeks is important to me in my knitting, is that I need to feel as though it's achievable. And I think that's one of the problems with some of the lace projects and the cable projects. And I know that some people love cables and they don't think it's hard at all, but I find that with cables I really have to think and follow a pattern. So yes, that one has been coming along nicely. Now, you might say, well, you were partway through a pair of Vita socks last time, Andrea. Where have those Vita socks got to? And you'd think that they'd be finished by now, wouldn't you? So would I. But they're not. So here are the Vita socks. There's the first one, and here's the second one. So it's very close. I'm actually at the toe decrease, so I'm almost there. I just have the toe decrease to go on that one. And last week I made myself a little, and I'm just putting the sock on here actually. I don't know if it'll work now. I really wanted to be able to show you the beautiful stitch pattern on these Vita socks. And without sock blockers it's very hard to do. And in fact, even with sock blockers it's hard to do because the lace panel on the Vita socks goes straight down the middle of the front of the foot. So just get in there. There we go. So there we go. It's absolutely beautiful. Looks so lovely on. And yeah, I'll probably finish those off this afternoon. I was really hoping to have them finished by today so that I'd have another finished one for the podcast, but so be it. So yeah, just the toe decrease to go on those. And then I have a new cast on, something that I haven't, or maybe I showed it very briefly last time. I cast on for a French can shawl. Oh, and this is how far I've got. It's kind of the same colour as the shawl I'm wearing, actually. This is stalled a little bit. I haven't done any work on this past week. The yarn that I'm using is actually the very first yarn that I ever bought in a semi-large quantity. And it is Sublime Yarns Cashmere Merino Silk blend. And it's this purpley sort of colour that's coming out really, really nicely. And it has just been sitting there in my stash, languishing, not doing anything, because there's only about 5 balls, 500 to 600 yards, which is a really awkward amount of wool because it's not quite enough to make something like, say, the campside shawl, which is what I would have liked to have made, although I probably could have made it a bit smaller. But it's also not, it doesn't have any variegation in it. It's got a nice drape because it's got cashmere and silk in it, but I wanted to make something special out of it. So I have been umming and ahhing about over what to make for a very long time. And then Christina from Christina's Knitting Catch Up was having a knit along for a deep stash knit along. So something that's been in your stash for quite a long time, over 6 months. And I thought that would be quite the perfect yarn to cast something on with for that knit along. And how far am I? So this is the first ball. Now it's a paid for pattern, so I won't give away too much, but basically it's okay, so I was talking about my French can shawl. So the yarn is different, obviously, in the pattern, the yarn suggested, but it does say that in the pattern that you should choose a yarn that has some sort of a silk content to it because it gives that lovely drape once it's blocked. Now I am a little bit unsure about this. It feels beautiful. I'm sure it will be lovely when it's finished, but I did see another version, or another person's version of this French can shawl knit in this same yarn, and when it was finished it looked so it looked really chunky and not particularly drapey. So I'm not sure how this will go in the end. I don't really want a super chunky shawl, but we'll see. I think I'll see it through because I then will also use this shawl as an opportunity to learn how to do a applied border, applied edging on a lace edging on a shawl. So yeah, this is the first ball, and in the suggested yarn it says to use around 200 meters, or once you've got 200 stitches on the needles. Each ball of this yarn is 116 meters or something, so I will knit the rest of this one and then an entire other ball of yarn, and then I will start the applied border. So it may end up being slightly larger than the original version, but that's okay too, as long as it ends up being nice and drapey. But I think that will come down to the blocking. And while this is designed to go with Christina's knit along, I somehow think it's not going to be done by the 15th of March, which is when her knit along finishes, unless of course I stop knitting on my other projects so much and focus on this one. But we'll see. I might take this one to swimming this afternoon because it's fairly mindless, this garter stitch section. And it's not living in a bag or anything at the moment. It's living in one of these lovely love knitting bags, because that is actually the perfect size for the amount of yarn that I have. for this project. Okay, so I've got one more thing on the needles which I haven't shared with you before, and this one is a bit of a fun project. I don't know what I was doing. I was on Instagram or on Facebook, or not Facebook, must have been Ravelry or something, and I saw, I'm not a big watcher of the Bakery Bears podcast. I watch segments of it. Like I was saying earlier, I have a hard time sitting down for 2 hours to watch a podcast episode. So, but a few weeks ago, I was watching the Very Little Twitch and Stitch podcast with Marsha and Priscilla and Scylla, and they were talking about the Bakery Bears knit along, which is Choose Your Muppet. Now I thought, that sounds like a bit of fun, really. Anyway, so I didn't cast on straight away. I saw a few different people talking about it. I did watch a little bit of the Bakery Bears episode, and then I thought, I'm just going to go online and do the quiz to see who is my Muppet. And I got a Snoth, which was really funny because and if you don't know, Snoths are the little characters that sing alongside Animal in the Mana song. And they're pink. And I'll insert a picture here.
Mana mana. Mana mana.
Just in case you are unfamiliar with a Snoth. And then Scylla of the Twitch and Stitch Very Little podcast, she knit this really cute sockhead hat. It's got yellow and pink to match the Snoth. And I thought, oh, I don't have anything. What could I knit? And I didn't have any. Well, it's not true. I did have some pink yarn, but it was kind of not. It was planned for something else, and I didn't want to use it for this. But then I thought, oh, I've got a skein of Knit Picks Gloss fingering weight in the bear, and that is a merino and silk blend. And I thought, I wonder if I just dyed some yarn to match the Snoth sort of colorway, how that would go. And so I did. And so what we ended up with is this. Now this one's already skeined up. I do have a little bit still unskeined because it got a bit tangled. I'll just see if I can twist it up. It's always harder to twist when there's less yarn. It takes more twists to be able to get it to curl back on upon itself. So that is the pink, and this is just dyed with Queen food colouring on my stove, and it turned out really, really pretty. It's a pretty variegated pink, tonal, I would say. And then I got some Knit Picks Stroll in the sparkle base, which is in their white, and I dyed that. Oh, you can see it sparkling. That yellow colour, and so they are my Snoth colours. Now, originally I intended to make socks, and the reason I chose this one is because this one has nylon in it, because it's Stroll. And I thought, well, because this hasn't got nylon, although I've heard you can knit socks out of a silk blend because the silk acts like a nylon, it's strong. And I thought I'll knit the main sock in this colour, and I will do the heels and toes in this colour. And then I had another look at the picture of the Snoth, and I thought, oh, they've got little white bubbly eyes with eyelashes. So I needed some black and white as well. Now, I'll just dig it out of my little bag here. It's not in a fancy bag, it's just in one that I made. And here is my Snoth socks. And obviously, because their eyes are on top, here is their eyes and with eyelashes and the pink, and then I'm just up to the beginning of the heel on this one, and this one here, about 20 rows in, so I've got another little while to knit on this one. I'll knit up to the heel on this one, and then I'll do the heel on this one, and then I'll do the heel on this one, and then I'll knit the feet. So I'm knitting it concurrently on my brand new Knit Pro Zing needles. Can you see that? I'm rather impressed. These are very nice needles. I've heard quite a lot of podcasters talk about the blunt tip and how they don't really like the blunt tip of these needles, but honestly, for me, it is the perfect medium between the higher sharps, which are very sharp, and a wooden needle, which is not very sharp. I don't have any problems at all. I mean, you might have problems if you're knitting with lace and you're trying to do really, you know, knit 3 together or something like that, but they're absolutely fine. So the only thing that has been a bit strange about these socks for me is that when I started, I cast on 64, which is my standard. I always cast on 64 stitches, knit for about 80 rows, and then do the heel, and then knit for another 75-ish rows and decrease for the toes. But when I cast these on, they seemed really massive, really massive in this top bit here. And I have a feeling that, so these are 2.5mm high Knit Pro Zings, DPNs and Magic Loop. I bought both because I wanted to try them. And I think that this Knit Picks gloss yarn is actually thicker yarn than a standard fingering weight yarn. Ever so slightly. I think it's probably more like a sport weight. It's fingering to sport weight rather than a traditional fingering weight yarn. And so by casting on 64 stitches, it's just too big. So I actually decreased about here down to 60. And I think it is still too big, but I think these are going to be house socks. So it doesn't really matter if they fall down, or even if they do fall down, they probably won't fall down in boots. So I can wear them under my boots. But yeah, it's really nice. It's knitting up beautifully, and I really do like the colour, the way that it's coming out, all tonal like that. So that has been, and you know what? It's been really nice knitting on a plain vanilla sock, because I also have another pair of socks on the needles, but they're not down here. I didn't bring them down, and they're my Seneva socks, and they're also a patterned sock, and I'm just struggling with the patterned socks. But there's about 3 or 4 more patterns in my viewfinder which are patterned socks. So I have all these patterned socks that I would really like to knit, but they take me a little bit longer. So I think I need to be prepared for that, and always have a vanilla sock on the go, so that I can satisfy that non-thinking knitting at the same time as having a sock on the go. So those are all of my whips that I've decided to show you this week that have actually had anything done on them. I have other whips. Oh, actually, that's something interesting I was going to tell you. In both my sock head hats, I did not use a full skein of yarn. When you see other people's notes on the sock head pattern, nobody really talks about how much of the skein of yarn that they've used. Now, from this hat here, which is the black grey one, this is how much is left over, and it's about 49 grams. So if I wanted to, I could probably knit a short pair of socks with these for myself, because I know I can knit ankle socks in 50 grams of yarn. So I may do that. It did soften up considerably after it was washed. So, but it's your typical standard sock yarn and it feels like it would be really sturdy. So yay for some extras. And then for the other sock head hat, the alpaca one, this is how much I have left over. I think it's about 43 grams. I don't really know what I'll do with this. I may I may use it for some, like a color work kind of project, or like another hat that uses a plain. I'm going to sneeze. We'll see, because it seems it's so lovely. It's a shame for it to go to waste. Or if there's another project that requires a small amount of yarn, I'm going to have to. Oh, sorry. We'll see, but yes, I will find a use for this because it's really a very pretty colour. Alright, so that's all of my works in progress and my finished objects that I have to show for you. Now I'll do another finished objects and whips update in March. So the plan is to do one per month of an update video. But I thought I would also share with you not so much stash enhancement, but some February favourites. Now I don't know what got me onto this, but I think I might have had it come up in my Etsy feed. Some really cute little brooches, and I think I showed them last time, and they're made out of shrink plastic. And I got a little bit obsessed with brooches this month. I bought another one by an Australian company called Elk from a local florist that sells other gifty type things, and it's a pretty bird, and I think that will go really beautifully actually on a shawl in winter, just to brighten it up a little bit. And then I was looking on Etsy, and why you look on Etsy, nobody really looks on Etsy, do they? Because everybody goes, oh, that's not so bad, I'll just buy that. I found this little one here. She's getting blown out a bit. A sleeping kitty cat. I haven't worn it yet. And that one's made of wood and it's hand painted. And it looks like they've used a wood burning tool to do the basket. There we go. And this one's still in its wrapping because I don't know why it's still in its wrapping. Oh, I can't take it out and it's reflecting. It's a little fox, little sleeping fox. So they're really cute. And then I went out for hot chocolate with one of my friends, and we went into a local shop, and it's like a bed, bath and table kind of shop. And I found the most beautiful teacup. I absolutely love it. It's really big, as you can see, but it also has a little bit of a sad story, because when I got home from the shops, I had some groceries, and this was wrapped up in packaging paper that was supposed to protect it, and I dropped it onto the kitchen counter, which is made of like a marble composite. And so I don't know if you can see this, but it's actually got a massive crack right down the side through those blue and orange flowers, and the handle broke off. You can see inside. So I was very sad, but I'm going to turn it into a planter. So I just need to get a plant for it to go into, and then I will have a lovely planter for my shelves. And happily, they had another one. And so I could go and get another one. And I have some really, really yummy tea in here today. This is pucker, wild apple and cinnamon. And it smells like a really yummy apple pie has just come out of the oven, and it's really lovely. I bought some tea from a local health food shop, and they have a deal if you've signed up to be a member, and which is free, and you get to choose 2 tea bags from the selection of pucker teas, which is really nice, I think, because pucker tea is quite expensive. And I bought a box of pucker tea. It's an English breakfast with ginseng. But then I bought 2 other boxes of a different brand of tea. And it was so nice to be able to choose out 2 that I've sort of been looking at and hadn't, you know, you don't want to commit. And one of them that I got was this one here, and it's really nice. And I think I will buy some of this for winter because it's a really nice wintry kind of, it's got cinnamon and ginger in it. And the other one I got was a black currant, and that was really nice. It would make a beautiful iced tea, actually. So next week I might go get some of that tea. All right, so I'm gonna finish up now with my February What's on My Needles video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will post another video next week, which is my monthly stash haul video. And yeah, so if you have enjoyed this new sort of approach, let me know. Not much happening in the Ravelry group, I have to say. It's I think that as a podcaster, it's kind of hard to feel motivated when it's hard to know if anybody's actually out there watching or interested. So I would love to chat with you on the Ravelry group. I can't always reply straight away, but I try. And obviously the other thing I should probably mention is that I have currently got 20% off in the Etsy shop because March is birthday month in our house, and we have a number of birthdays in March, so 20% off everything in the Etsy shop, and you just need the coupon code 20OFF 20OFF, and that will get you 20% off for the first 2 weeks of March. And I may extend that if if things sell out and I have an update later in the month. I haven't done any updates this last couple of weeks because I've been waiting on a few supplies to come in from overseas. So and I do still need to purchase a couple more things. So I'll have to see how we go with that. But yeah, if you want to go check it out, it's Wonderwolle Designs on Etsy. And yeah, I hope that you find something that you like and can take advantage of that 20% off. So I'm going to bid you all farewell. Have a great rest of your week. I hope that you find some special time to sit and work on some of your projects.